Welcome to MovieLoaf.
Oh, with some technical assistance, you can put together a dynamite fuck film. Ready to play?
Can you fly, Bobby? I am a big, bright, shining star.
Want to take my temperature, Doc? I bet you got a big thermometer.
Jesus. No, don't listen to that man! Keep those cameras rolling.
Ba da ba 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 do ba dee da do do ba 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 dee da dee da ba do ba do ba do ba do ba dee da da a dee da ba ba dee ba da ba a be ba da ba a be ba da ba dee ba do ba dee a booba a dooba a dooba 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 a scuba dooba dooba a scuba dee doo ba ba dee dee a scuba dee doo ba ba dee dee. I could keep going forever, my guy. Doop doop doobity doo.
Bow, bow.
Yay! Welcome to MovieLoaf, episode 3, I guess. Today I have a very special guest, and that guest is my very good friend, my co-writer, co-director, co-producer, and co-actor man for Fatal Future, Sean Doyle.
Hey, Michael. How's it going?
It's going great, Sean.
That's good.
So yeah, today we this is very special. Let me make sure the chat is working real quick. We always have that problem in the chat on the YouTubes where it just doesn't show up for people because this whole system is broken. It's broken. Everything's broken. We currently have 6 viewers on the YouTube, so hello 6 viewers. Good to see ya. Yeah, Dom, we got a guest, Sean. For those who are not aware, by the way, who are tuning in through purely audio forms, you know, that old chestnut. We do read out comments on the YouTube stream, so I will try to not be too confusing with that. But also, I make no promises because I am by nature a very confusing person. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yes, that's correct. You are one of the most confusing people I've ever met.
Yeah, man. So I love no budget cinema. I think we share a mutual interest in low budget cinema. But I would say I'm probably the one who's more obsessed with it.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, we have made low budget cinema together, but it is viewing it is usually more your realm.
Yeah, 100%. So by the way, YouTube viewers, I apologize. There's like a monitor that's partially in the shot with Sean. That's his best friend now. So that's just and in the back, you can actually see the picture of me on the Vice Academy poster that Dom put together. Just Dom, one of our amazing patrons. And of course, if you want to become an amazing patron, you're probably already pretty amazing, but you could add a word to that and become an amazing patron by going to the Patreon link in the description and pledging some money cash to me and my cause being bringing you some weird shit, dog. Also, there's a thing in the thing to donate to the $1,000 holla shopping spree video, which will probably never happen, but I'm going to keep pushing it because it was a really dumb joke, and I can't not keep up with dumb jokes. It's just what I am and who I am and what I do. Yeah, let's see. Other than that, we all got all kinds of stuff. You got anything going on, Sean?
Not really. I mean, in terms of what? In terms of
You doing anything like on the social medias? You got anything to plug right off the bat? Any kind of crazy, any cool shit, dog? Any like you writing anything big? You doing anything cool?
I'm doing a lot of painting, miniatures, foam craft stuff. That's all on my Instagram. It's keyboard_brawl.
keyboard_brawl. Go follow my man Sean on his Instagram, y'all. You can find me on Instagrams too, but I'm much less interesting. I barely use that damn thing. Yeah, because I am bad at social media. We're normally with MovieLoaf. I say normally. We're technically 3 episodes in now. Normally we have different segments for each show, but I think that today's show is probably going to take up the full hour. I think that there's a good chance we will talk for the full hour about today's subject. It may or may not happen. I don't know. Maybe we'll add a segment randomly. I don't have anything scripted, but sure, fuck it, why not? So let's just dive on in. We are going to start up the theme for today's show, and the theme for today, or the segment where we're going to be dealing in, is the Under 700 Club.
Hello and welcome to the Under 700 Club, where we worship at the altar of low-budget films with less than 700 ratings on the IMDb. Hello and welcome.
Let's do that again just for the... I'll cut it out later. Let's do that one more time.
Hello and welcome to the Under 700 Club, where we worship at the altar of low-budget films with less than 700 ratings on the IMDb.
Dude, I see great cinema.
Well, that's good.
Cool. Sean, of course, over here cannot hear any
Can't
of
hear a
this.
thing. No idea what just happened.
So this is the Under 700 Club, where we talk about movies with 700 or less ratings on the IMDb. Now, that actually describes a lot of films, but it doesn't work with the 700 Club joke that I was making, so that's just how we're going to deal with it. So let's really quickly, let's go over the Exigency IMDb. That's what we're talking about, Exigency?
Exigency, sure.
The Exigency, directed by Cody Vibart. I might be saying that name wrong. I have no idea. But currently, actually, it's doing pretty good compared to last time I saw it. It's currently at 114 ratings. When I last saw it, it was like 80 something. And when I first saw it, it was even less than that. This did get a bit of a pickup thanks to Austin McConnell did a video. I was actually kind of mad because Cody dropped into my comments and actually suggested this movie of his, and I was like, I will definitely do this. It looks like my jam, but I kept getting bombarded with other stuff to do for the channel, and then Austin fucking McConnell, a video just shows up, and I'm like, that looks suspiciously like, and sure enough, it was fucking review / like just general Austin McConnell-y video about the Exigency, or the Exigency, and I was very upset. So I was like, you know what? God damn it! I got to get on this train. I've already let time ruin things for me. I will not let it happen again. I will not let another Austin McConnell happen. I've got to cover this. So I decided I should cover it with my best bud, Mr. Sean Doyle, because Sean Doyle, you know something about no budget filmmaking.
A little bit.
And I know something about no-budget filmmaking. We made no-budget film together, sir. I've made 2 at this point. Also, a little bit with your help on the second one, but more so on the first one. We were basically equal driving forces for the creative direction of that film.
Yeah, we wrote it just together, more or less directed it together.
Yeah. And
I'm in it significantly less than you are.
You are, and you show less of yourself, which I think is unfair to the viewers. But that's just me.
I don't.
So anyway, we have. Oh my God, there's already how many people we got here? We got 7 whole people watching. Hot damn, 7 whole people. Oh my God. This is exciting. This is exciting. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the Exigency. I guess for those who are unaware, I think the easiest way to start this would just be to show them the trailer. Because good Lord, I don't know if I can accurately explain to you the visual sense of this film. So let's just start off blind. And CA, I will answer that question in a second. We're gonna go in and just show you the trailer for this sucker. I'm gonna utilize my stuff. There we go. All right, so let's check this trailer out real quick.
Let's just get that lead footage going.
Kyle? What happened? Kyle, what happened?
I have something I have to tell you.
Well,
I'm not who you think I am. I'm not even from Earth. My home
let's do
planet is...
God damn it. Let's do this one more time because I messed up.
What'd you do, Michael?
Well, I have this problem where I hate I absolutely fucking despise the software I use, and it despises me back, and oh my god.
To answer your question, it's truly a hallucinogenic dream come true.
I don't. God damn it! Why can't I just? This is great because it's only something that the people. God damn it! Okay, we're gonna just 1 second. Gotta do some stuff, or else it's not gonna let me. We're already every week something bad happens. God fucking.
It's just like real life.
It's just like real life, where something bad always happens. I don't understand.
What did you do? Where did the window
I
even
don't
go?
know. I don't know where the window went. Okay, we're gonna add a new monitor source in here because this is not working. Let's add. There we go. All right. So I'm just gonna keep it down there, man. I'm just gonna keep it down there. Little baby footage. All right.
It's Galicia.
Well, that explains a lot. Does this mean I'm half alien?
This is a dream. This is a dream.
I was the commanding general of the military of Galicia.
So I know what you're thinking right
There
now.
I fought many wars.
This
We're
looks
at
not
war
great.
with the Numbus.
But I assure you,
Diedrich has been building an army over
it
the
is
last
so much
decade.
more than you can imagine.
The hero is back for one last hurrah. I'm gonna talk with the king and tell him I'm not fighting in this war. And then we're gonna head right back home. I promise.
Because of this man, Diedrich surrendered many years ago. We made peace. The peace is no more.
It seems our only hope is you.
I'm no guarantee for victory.
Maybe not a guarantee, but a fighting chance.
It's not you. The king has lazed around all these years while Diedrich amassed an army right under his nose.
Yeah.
Why aren't we on our way home already, Kyle? You promised.
Things are a lot worse than expected.
It's just so epic.
We entrust our leaders to do what's right for the people, not standing idly by, only concerning themselves with what's for dinner.
Ander has family now. That is why he won't fight. Kill every one of their soldiers and anyone who stands in our way.
Perhaps someone here knows something and isn't speaking up? Inside job, maybe?
Yeah, boy, big boy. Big boy. Yeah, exigency or however the fuck you say it. I don't know. I'm not. What do I look like? An English major? Come on. So yeah, that is the trailer. Oh shit. That is the trailer for the Exigency or whatever you want to call it. And it is a film by Cody Vibart, and I love this film. I'm just going to put out my opinion right off the bat that I love this film, and my wife also loved the film. She is watching the baby, or else she'd be part of this podcast as well. But I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. So instead, I got my good bestie here, Sean. And Sean, tell the listeners what you thought of the film.
It's complicated. Obviously, like, we've done this kind of thing before. Like, we've done low budget film, like no budget sci-fi, and I know that, like, there's obviously like a ton of passion and dedication that went into this, because this is really hard, but also it kind of just didn't work for me.
Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, is Conflict. Because I liked it quite a bit. A little bit more details about just where this film came from. And all that is man, aka Brian, in the chat, he says the trailer doesn't even do the movie justice. The movie is an experience. I think even though you didn't like it, would you say what do you think do you think that would you call the film an experience?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get into that in a second.
It is a thing that I experienced, and it's a thing that happened to me.
You know, on the plus side, no matter what you say, it cannot be worse than some of the things that other critics and commenters have said, because it gets very mean.
Oh no, like I have no intention of being like mean to this movie or anybody involved. Like I had fun with it. I just didn't like in the end. I just kind of didn't care for it.
And honestly, Cody seems to be fully aware of the flaws. He put together a trailer that's on his YouTube page that it's quoting all the critical consensus that's come in at that point. And one of the comments is, "This looks like cancer."
That's harsh.
It is harsh. But I appreciate him putting that in, a trailer for the film. So Cody Vibar, I'm just going to go over. So he actually has on his website, which exigencymovie.com. He has a tab it's called the making of, and he goes kind of into the making. I'm just going to skim through and mention a few things here. So first off, this was all made over the course of roughly 13 years. He started this in 2006, and apparently, according to this, unfortunately, about 4 of those years were spent on scenes that were either deleted or redone entirely, which is very sad to think about. And then, according to him, it took an quote absurd amount of dedication and time to get this film completed. And basically, he did everything himself, more or less, in a very antiquated bit of software called Poser, which is basically just a 3D animation software. And there are, and he points this out in his behind the scenes thing, there are some pre-rendered elements that he added in, which, I mean, I'm shocked there aren't more pre-rendered elements, to be honest, because holy shit, this seems like a massive pain in the ass. And he also mentions that, let's see, is most of the assets thing I was getting to. So it was originally titled Sleeping Giant. I'll just quote this directly. Back then, I had an idea for how the story was going to start, but I didn't know how it was going to develop. After the first 2 years, I revamped the entire film with upgraded content and software, which I'm very curious to know what the original software looked like. Still, I was running in the dark. My biggest mistake was not having the idea finalized or a plan in place. I spent months animating shots without knowing where I was even going. On top of that, there were countless script revisions after scenes were animated. I went back and completely reanimated them once again. Or not once, but sometimes multiple times, which is interesting. That'll actually come up as a point about some of the gags in the film, I think, were kind of built out of that. Let's see. It's his third animated feature-length film. The first one took a total of 8 months, and the second took 18 months. And his original time frame for the Exigency was 2 to 3 years, which, you got the years thing right. That's something.
Were the others made in Poser?
I don't know. It doesn't say. It just says his third animated feature-length film. I assume Poser or something more antiquated. Otherwise, he would probably have used that more advanced software, I would assume. So he wanted to create something that was, quote, fun to watch and didn't take itself too seriously. Let's see here. And this part is where I really get like in awe. I had all the time in the world to work on this. Sometimes I'd spend 10 to 15 hours a day animating. I would work until 3 a.m. and then roll out of bed at 9 a.m. to pick up where I left off. This was during the recession between 2008 and 2009. Let's see. Even spending 6 hours on a 3-second shot felt good. About 6 years into the project, I came to a crossroad. Was I willing to invest another X amount of years to get this done? Should I cut my losses and start a new project? We've been there. My motivation fluctuated wildly, but there were plenty of times when I'd work on it, not because I really wanted to, but because I felt like I had to, which again feels my brother. It wasn't until much later that I decided to divide this into a trilogy rather than investing another 12 years by myself, which very smart. And that explains the ending, which, by the way, we will be getting into spoilers for the Exigency on this podcast. I don't think it'll get... I don't think this will ruin it for you, whether you enjoy the film or not when you finally watch it. If you finally watch it, I don't think that spoilers would ruin this for someone. I think partly because the plot really isn't that complicated, right?
No, it's definitely not. And I think that like it seems like a lot of the enjoyment that people are deriving from this is from the gags more than anything. That's not exclusively it, but I have no idea where to look right now.
You don't have to look anywhere. You can look at me. You can look at your face. There's all kinds of stuff to look at. Yeah,
it's there's not a ton of plot here. It's definitely a first act.
Yeah. I think that's the big. If I have pros and cons for the movie. I think that's one I'm definitely put in the con categories. It definitely doesn't feel like this is. I think if this was a big budget movie, you would end up going, oh, so they're just setting up the trilogy. I get it.
Yeah.
But there is something to it not being a big budget movie that helps. Regarding the question, I think it was C.A. Hall, maybe, I don't remember. What's it like to co-direct a movie? Yeah. It's I would say it's humbling. It's sometimes frustrating, but it's also very rewarding to co-direct a movie. I definitely, like, looking back, I think there are some ideas that I had that I wish I'd pushed harder for, but at the same time, there are a lot of ideas I had that you said weren't going to work, and looking back, you were 100% correct. And probably vice versa. I don't really.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same about it. Like a lot of the co-direction, I feel like was us sort of like checking and balancing each other. Especially with something like Fatal Future, we walked a very fine line with the tone there, and I think that we sort of evened each other out pretty thoroughly.
So I want to start with, first off, huge. We've kind of gone over this a little bit already, but huge congrats to Cody Vibart for actually getting this done.
Oh, absolutely.
I am in awe of the fact that you made this more or less by yourself. No matter what either of us says in this video, we haven't talked about this beforehand. It was literally just, hey, Sean, watch this movie and come on my podcast. And then he did it, and now he's here, and now we're talking.
That's what happened.
So I know, all I know is that Sean was not a big fan, but I think that we both agree that this was an amazing accomplishment. And I don't know about you, Sean, but I'm very intrigued to see what Exigency 2 looks like.
Yeah, I am too.
So let's just dig in. So first off, Sean, would you like some grapes?
No, thank you.
It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Right, yes, the grapes. Jesus.
Would you like some grapes? So I just want to first, you mentioned the gags as being a big part of the I guess success in people's minds of the film, and I have other things that I consider successful about the film, but I personally do agree that the gags are fantastic. When the movie starts, you kind of like it's a good probably like 5 minutes of just getting used to the animation, because the animation, if you're just listening, you didn't see the trailer, check out the trailer. It is very rough animation.
It's like it's 2003 era Xbox PS2 cinematic like level.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like maybe like a Halo cutscene.
A lot of it looks a lot like a Halo cutscene. Yes.
And let's see, we had a chat. So Brian, all that is man, he mentioned his thoughts because he actually watched the film today. He said, I have one con about the movie is the pacing. I think it could have been trimmed 25 minutes, would have helped. The pro is definitely the gags and the action. Oh, and Cody Vibart is in the chat. That's not horrifying at all.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hi, Cody.
Not that I was expecting this kind of, because I mean we follow each other on Twitter, and he was the one that suggested in my YouTube comments. So hi, Cody. Yeah. The gags. I think the moment I realized because I wasn't sure, I didn't know this would be such a funny movie. I was banking more on it being like a charmingly, not inept, but that kind of like, this isn't what a real movie looks like feel, whatever you would call that. And then there's a point where our main guy, Kyle, he goes by another name, but he prefers Kyle. Our main guy, Kyle, he's called to his boss's office, and his boss, like, it's an awkward scene. The boss is like handing him a cigar, but they're like, the desk is too big between them, and there's like this bit of physical comedy, and you're like, okay, well, wait a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, the boss is like drinking. He offers him a drink out of a flask that keeps changing sizes.
Yeah,
I think the thing, like, something that I found very jarring, because I watched the trailer, and the trailer is pretty straightforward. It's pretty serious. It's got some humor in it, but it's it's a pretty like straightforward, straight-laced thing. And the movie for the first like 5 minutes is too, like, all of the establishing stuff of Kyle like giving that $20 to Lieutenant Dan in front of the bank, and like going in and sort of like interacting with his coworkers, and then he gets called up to the main office, and the boss is lobbing golf balls out of his window, and he hits a woman, like an old lady, square in the forehead. And at that point it was like, okay, I don't know what this is. I was not expecting this turn. That was the golf ball in the woman's face was the moment where I was like, okay, this guy, I don't know what his intentions were starting off with this movie, but he knows full well what he's doing. This is not this is not a, say, Birdemic, where it's totally unintentional, which, is fine by me. I think there is a point where things go from delightfully bad to downright sad, not to rhyme. For me, Birdemic is the movie, is like the bar where things get sad, and so I always get concerned that a movie's going to go in that direction and just make me feel uncomfortable. But when that golf ball hit the lady in the face, I was like, okay. And the most important thing is that the golf ball stays in her face. Like, it is lodged in between her eyes. Mr. Valentino definitely stone cold murdered that woman.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But she just kept walking. She was like that story. I don't know if you remember the story of the old lady who got a knife stabbed in her back and just like continued about her day, and didn't notice the entire day that there was a knife just stuck in her back. That was the first time.
I can't say that I've ever heard of that one. No.
It's an old story. It's fun. I honestly feel dumb for putting this off for so long. Lance just joined us. The Exigency, which I don't even think we mentioned. The Exigency is available on Amazon Prime. You can, as long as you have Prime, you can watch it for free. I don't believe it's available in any physical release, but Cody, you give me that DVD and/or Blu-ray with a director's commentary, motherfucker, I'm buying it day one. So you get on that jazz, yo. Or if it's available already, tell me in the comments, and I will buy it now, I guess, and tell people to buy it. I'll be like, yo, guys, buy this movie. So let's see, Professor Alita McFly. I'm willing to bet not their real name, but could be, actually. I don't know. I am so happy people are finding this movie. I love Prime Video because it has so many weird, interesting, and obscure movies. I saw it soon after it came out on the platform. Then we got the Austin video. Yeah, I think I'm glad that Austin McConnell, like, this channel is small. Very few people care. The people that care, like, really care, but it's a very small group of people who make up the Keene cult, and I'm glad that a platform with millions of viewers like Austin McConnell's did a video about this because A, great exposure, and B, it busted me in the ass to finally get on this, and mostly out of anger because I'm a very angry man. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, so the way the story goes is Kyle is getting a big promotion. Cody just said it'll be ready early October. So
nice.
Yeah, sweet. All right, I'll pick that up. And then I don't know, do a bigger. Actually, the main reason I didn't do a full-on review is I don't like dealing with getting video from Amazon.
Fair.
Just to do my videos. So to have a physical copy would be great for me. So Kyle gets promotion. His boss lodges a golf ball in a woman's face, and then aliens show up, and we get just gonna straight out say it, a pretty fucking good action scene. What did you think of this initial action scene, Sean?
I think a lot of the stuff with Kyle was good. I don't know. See, I was still really trying to feel out like the tone and how I felt about like everything that was happening during this initial sequence. So like a lot of the stuff that was happening with like the cops outside I found very jarring. But a lot of the stuff that was going on with Kyle in the building being shot at and sort of being chased as he like falls through walls and floors, I thought that was really good. I liked that a lot.
You mean like the comedy of the cops, or?
Yeah, like it was just.
It's very silly. Like what?
Yeah,
what
the one guy comes up and he just like he seems to only speak Spanish.
Yeah, and they're making like these almost like as if the police chief or whoever, I don't remember like what his rank is, but the main cop, it's this like weird sort of like I don't understand what you're saying gag, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is jarring because up to this point you really only have had the golf ball incident to really give you an idea of where this movie's coming from tonally, and then aliens show up, the boss is brutally killed, I assume.
Presumably.
And suddenly Kyle is running through this building. He's falling through ceilings. He's jumping out of the building. He's doing all kinds of crazy shit. And these cops are kind of doing a bit outside. At one point, the cop just like grabs an oversized hat out of nowhere and starts wearing it.
Oh yeah, he gets it off of like the lady state trooper.
Yeah.
And he just like wears it sort of askew for the rest of the scene, and it was very weird because I missed the moment where he actually got it.
Yeah, I saw him like take the hat, and I was just like, I think here's the disconnect for me with this movie. And again, I loved it, but there was a slight disconnect, and that disconnect is I don't know exactly how much of this was intentionally funny versus just wound up funny. I think that if you're Cody and you're spending over a decade working on this, then chances are, I assume, starts off fairly serious with some light comedy, and then the realization dawns at some point, oh, this is not going to look great to most people. Let's just go with it and enjoy the comedy, because I feel like as the movie goes along, you still get that comedic flavor, but like the Earth stuff, which is fairly short, it's like 10-15 minutes of the plot out of basically a 2-hour movie, is very silly, and there's still like the action is very well thought out. All the action in this film, in my opinion, is if you replaced it with live action or really high end CGI.
Oh yeah, like there's a lot of stuff in here that would look that like if you saw it in a big budget movie that was, you know, like live action, or you would be really impressed by it, I think.
Yeah,
like, there's like it's really well composed for the most part.
Yeah,
like,
the camera's always moving. It's very dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It, like if there's like seriously, someone needs to give this guy a fuckload of money because he knows how to compose a scene. This whole film, I would say, is you know, as I said, I think I mentioned I have some pacing issues, but overall, like it feels if you get used to the effects and you ignore like the gags that are kind of predicated on the effects, it feels like a big budget movie. Like it could almost be like an animatic, like a very big budget animatic for a major Hollywood release, including the voice acting. Like the voice acting is really great. There's some are less than others. You can tell that he, you know, is trying. He doesn't have like just a stable of high quality voice talent, but I would say the vast majority of the voice talent is really solid. And I would say the worst voice talent is at least entertainingly janky.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a brief bark break while the dog
freaking
yells.
out there.
Yeah, he does that. Cool. So let's see here. So yeah, so we have all this high quality voice talent for the most part. And I was surprised, like the guy, like a lot of these guys don't do a lot of voice work. I think the one that surprised me the most was I'm so bad with the names in this movie. The main villain, Diedrich. His voice, like I thought was really good. I thought he had a really great kind of melodramatic villain's voice. It sounded like something you would hear in a modern video game, maybe, or you know, something, you know, not necessarily like Hollywood tier, but it felt like a proper voice actor doing the voice. And I went to his IMDb page, and it had like one other credit. And
yeah,
I mean,
I didn't look at IMDb. I scrolled through the cast on, I think, Letterboxd, and most of them don't have other credits listed, at least not there. I think like the one main one was the guy who plays Kyle's brother is also credited as being in the beautifully named Christian film The Overcomer.
Oh God, I love The Overcomer. That's the greatest. That by the way, if you haven't seen The Overcomer, I'm not going to suggest it because I never watched it, but just to look at it is really, look at the poster because it's called The Overcomer, and I think we all know where our minds go because we are awful, unchristian heathens who find the word overcomer really funny.
It is really funny.
But anyway, so the Exigency. So the whole Earth sequence, get this huge action, and we're introduced to Kyle's family. We get his wife, who's probably the least interesting family member. We get his daughter, and we get his son. And his son's name is Timmy. And Timmy is my favorite.
Timmy has the face of a Chucky doll and the voice of a 40-year-old Virginia Beach meth head.
Timmy's weird because Timmy is the one character where I'm like, there is no way this was not attempting to be outrageously off. Timmy does not sound like a child. He looks horrifying, but he is, I would say, despite the voice being wrong, perfectly acted and has the funniest lines and funniest moments in the film. So he'll just be in the background of a shot doing stuff, and he is fantastic. He is comedy gold throughout this film. And what I was trying to get to with all these little bits and bobs is when I was in this first 15 minutes and we hadn't gotten to Galicia yet, I thought this was trying to be like Fatal Future. I mean, not like that he had seen it, obviously. He'd been working on it for long before.
Yes. But
it felt like someone was doing something similar to what we were doing, and just going a bit further on the joke side of things. And for those who haven't seen Fatal Future, basically we tried to make a film that was meant to be a film made by a fictional director who was much like a Neil Breen type. And so it's a comedy, but it's a very straight, or it plays it very straight, and it's meant to be a very dry sense of humor. And I felt like this was someone trying to do something similar with, kind of ratchet graphics and an outlandish plot. And the first 15 minutes, it really felt that way.
Yeah, especially with like the bus sequence and everything.
Yeah, the bus sequence, I think, is the one where I was just like, this, we can't take this seriously. Because there's the bit where Kyle, I think he says, or like the wife says that they need to get the bus to stop. And he says there's no time. And so he decides to jump through the windshield of the bus to get his kids off the bus into the car. And then they promptly all crash. And most of that action sequence was basically pointless. Aside from giving us some sweet action. And so to have all these elements at play, it felt like a very intentional comedy. But then we leave Earth, and basically what happens is Kyle and his family, it looks like they're abducted, but then it turns out that some people from another planet called Galesha have taken Kyle and his family in order to get Kyle's help, because he was once a great general for this alien world, which I guess seeded Earth at some point. Right? Is that,
like it's sort of described as like either Galesha or another planet from before Galesha dropped, sort of seeded all of these other planets with human life, which is maybe why we don't see more like overt aliens.
Yeah. Which I mean, smart.
Yeah.
And so then, all right. And I want to kind of just get through the general plot so that everybody has like a basis for this conversation. So we get to Galesha after a very entertaining space ride.
Oh, that section has my favorite gag in the entire movie.
I think I know which one it is. What is it?
It's the one where the pilot is watching Timmy fire off the lasers over and over again and fantasizes about ejecting him into space.
Yes, that is one of the best gags in the film. Basically, I mean, anything with Timmy's great, but Timmy, and I don't remember the co-pilot's name, but he's also really good.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone we meet in the first little chunk is great. So then, we get to Galesha. We meet the king, who is a total slob, and he probably has I don't even dislike his voice. I think his is the voice that goes with everything the least. But he's also really funny, so it's kind of a trade-off. But he's the most janky-looking character of the bunch. He has like this very actually, I can bring this up.
His arms are way too short, right?
His arms are way too short. Here, let's get a quick look at this is the king, sans clothes. His name is Sargon, which, Cody, I gotta say, probably the least subtle naming in the entire film. So Sargon, he doesn't look great. He's kind of fat.
I'm glad that he's the king and he needs to have a name tag on his robes.
And he looks like Henry Zabrowski. That's what he looks like. He looks like bald Henry Zabrowski from last podcast on the left. Look at that guy. That guy would totally be played by Henry Zabrowski in a movie. Or Seth Rogen if it was like a really big budget one and they got him to gain some of that weight back. But yeah, this is our king, Sargon. Now versus our hero Kyle, who looks pretty good. Here he is in flashback, looking pretty good. And then we have the king and his weird stubby arms. And I love the king. I could never tell if he was supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy, but I love him. And I assume that was the point.
Yeah, I think he's just supposed to be sort of like unilaterally dumb.
Yeah. So anyway, meets the king, and it turns out that they're having a serious problem with a menace. And it's basically this army of guys led by what's his name again? I totally
Diedrich.
And Diedrich is this like villainous man with a scar who what we're led to understand, Kyle, when he was this great general, he started a fight with Diedrich and is in a way sort of responsible for what's happening now. And the planet wants his help.
I mean, like he has a flashback where he tells his wife about how he went to Diedrich's planet and actively like beat him up and antagonized him into starting a war. And then he retired to Earth and is super shitty in general about being brought back to deal with this mess that he made.
So yeah, so basically he let the whole being a great general and warlord get to him, and he became a bit of a douche, realized his mistakes, and kind of just got out while the getting was good, which is a bit of a character flaw, which I assume we're going to hear more about in the sequels. And so he basically, the entire movie from that point on is just him deciding whether or not he wants to take his family, get back to Earth, or help, or if there is like some thing to do that's in between there. And eventually he is forced to help because of his family. And we end on a cliffhanger after a rollicking good action sequence that frankly blew my fucking mind, as far as like one guy animating this in very old software. I was shocked at how good this big finale action sequence was. It takes like, I mean, it feels like it's like a 20-minute action sequence.
Oh, I would say it's probably at least like the last quarter of the movie.
Yeah. Now, up until that point, I would say that it is a film that drags a little bit in the middle. As far as pacing, I didn't have like a serious problem with the pacing. I don't think it ever, like, I feel like our movie has worse pacing than this movie does.
It definitely does at certain points. But again, like I think it does sort of have that same sort of a little bit of an issue that Fatal Future does, where the stuff that goes on for a really long time is the stuff that's being narrated, and it's not that compelling. Like all of Kyle's like flashback sequence is narrated, and it just goes on forever.
His training with old man Mickey Rourke in Sin City.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know how I feel about that 8-page monologue that I wrote for the Old Master, that we didn't cut it all, and I had to read all of those lines.
Yeah, if you've seen Fatal Future, you probably know the worst part of the movie is the Old Master's monologuing at my character forever, which I kept in because I thought it was funny that it was so boring. But now that I've had to watch the movie with people so many times, I go back and reconsider my thought process on that a little bit.
I'm still furious that I'm the only person that actually had to learn my lines.
Well, you know what? You were blind.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the movie at hand, though. So pacing is a bit of an issue. How big of an issue was that for you?
It's hard. I'm in general having a hard time lately watching things that are over 2 hours long. I think we talked about this a little bit the other day, just you and me chatting. But I've begun. Maybe it's just the sheer quantity of stuff that I'm watching in quarantine, where I'm sort of tired of spending so much time with things. So I did have kind of a hard time with the fact that it does drag in places. Like I wanted it to be trimmed a little bit more. It wasn't by any means like a deal breaker.
Okay, so
I don't know that it made the movie better or worse for me. It was just part of the movie.
Okay, so I think so we could probably both say that the film could be trimmed a little bit, but not the worst thing about the film. Actually, I would say probably for me it's the worst thing about the film, because I had a fucking great time. But I felt it during that flashback sequence, and then there's just a little bit of them like learning about Galesha, where I was just like, cool, it's an alien world, that's great. Let's keep going, guys. Just because it's a surprisingly pretty world.
Yeah,
but it just feels like another pretty alien world. Which is fine, but I've seen it before many times, and by default it usually looks better just because of the innate issue of the film's animation. But it looks pretty good here, and there's some interesting details. I feel like it could have gone a little weirder with the kind of mythology of everything. The world building is not bland per se, but it's nothing new. There's nothing exciting about the world building that really separates it from any other type of world building.
There are many ways in which it feels a lot like a sort of one of those sort of like generic, we're going to be here for 15 minutes, like garden worlds from a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. That's
like especially like the sequel trilogy era.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I guess, when I look at my notes are mostly just like haha notes where it's like just quotes like those are binoculars, you fool. I picked the wrong day to skip my son's wedding is a great gag. Get your sister and jump in the car. The fact that the space map on their ship says you are here.
Yeah.
The eject button gag. Also, just like little details really stuck with me. I wrote here that the director has an eye for details, specifically like when Kyle is going up for his meeting with his boss, he pops some mints in his mouth.
Yeah, there are a lot of little movements and like grace notes in the animation that, like they're as janky as everything else in this movie looks, but they are the kind of thing that it really shows off that somebody like put care into this and considered what they were doing, and they bothered to actually let their characters move and do things when it wasn't entirely conducive to the plot.
Yeah, I think that's and this might have led to the whole it taking forever to make the movie. Is there's a lot of little details, there's a lot of movement. There's like when Kyle is racing through town in the opening action sequence, the car I think like goes over like a hill or something, and he hits his face on the steering wheel and honks the horn. And then later on when they're at the Museum of Galesha, the kids are like fucking around in the background and doing stuff and running around. Sargon at one point picks up a donut in the hot tub. So all kinds of
Timmy constantly playing with the fucking musical bubbles.
Yeah, Timmy constantly playing with the musical bubbles. Casey just pointed out in the chat she really appreciated that Melissa, the wife, was wearing a cable knit sweater, where it could just
was she?
Yeah. So there's textures in the film too that are not necessary if you're going for a bad look.
Yeah.
Like there at any point Cody could have just said, well, this is going to look like garbage. I can be a little lazy here and there, but it doesn't really feel like anything was lazy.
No, and like there are actually sequences that do look really good. Like especially towards the end, like the final set of action sequences from like the moment that Diedrich's forces crash the reception up until the conclusion, like for the most part looks really good. Like especially the scene of him running around or did I say Alex or I don't know whatever Kyle, especially like the sequence of him sort of like stealthing through that like foggy temple area and taking out all those guys. Like there's some stuff in this that looks really nice.
Yeah, I mean it's you can't say that Cody was lazy.
No, absolutely not.
So I don't know that I really had any serious issues other than the pacing. So I guess I'd like to know from you, like what stopped this from really clicking with you?
I think the biggest, and I wrote this down, and I'm sort of like going back and forth on how I feel about it because I've spent like 3 or 4 days with the movie now, and I've been thinking about it. But I kind of wanted. I kind of wish that it had a little bit more consistent of a tone.
Okay.
Like there are parts that are really gaggy, and the gags are good, but like they're counterweighted with these sections that are really serious and straight-laced, like action and monologues. And there is definitely sort of like a disparity, and I think that a lot of this comes from the way that the film was made. There is a disparity in like the quality of some of the models and the texture work. And if it had gone all the way through looking one way, I think it might have worked better for me. But like as it was, there was a little bit of that like I'm sitting there watching. I was like, oh, okay, so this was definitely made towards the end, because there's a lot better texture work here versus this, which is much like, like this character model was obviously designed much earlier on, because he does not fit in with this at all.
I get that. I you know what? I did make a note that the gags they get fewer and far between.
Yeah.
And like anytime, aside from the opening, anytime there's an action sequence, it does feel like the gags stop exist. Like it stops being funny.
I think that this went through like a very, and like when you reading off the fact that this went through significant rewrites during production and like retoolings, I think like I did feel that this was something that went through a dramatic shift in tone somewhere in production. And I think that's completely natural. Like, I think that makes a ton of sense, because if you're spending like 13 years making something that's super serious, you're going to get real bored with it because you're not having any fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's weird. Like there's that issue that we struggled with where, when does it stop being a gag and just start becoming a bad movie?
Yeah.
What does it mean to do something that's bad on purpose versus by accident? If it comes out to the same conclusion, is there a problem with it being intentional? That's kind of this kind of stuff we toyed with a lot on Fatal Future. And I think that for me, either which way, if Cody was 100% self, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-aware, thank you. This is why I keep you around, Sean, because I'm bad at words. If he was 100% self-aware and made this same movie, would it be any different from him being more or less completely removed from how normal human logic works? If he had made the same movie, it's still this very outrageous, silly, borderline experimental piece of work that for me works really well as a comedy when it's being a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Works really well as an action movie when it's being an action movie, and then in between gets a little slowed down when it's not doing either. But I feel like it's both of those elements are sprinkled in so much that it never becomes an issue, and in a way it's covering up the flaws in Cody's presentation, which is that's what most filmmakers do, is they'll cover up what they're not good at by doing what they're good at, which is how most humans do most things.
Exactly.
So for me, I really think that I think that he had to have known, especially when God, there's the dog again.
Oh, I mean, I don't think that this is, I did not get the impression that anything here was unintentional. I think that this was somebody working on something that they really believed in with technical limitations.
That dog is really mad at something.
He hates whatever that is outside.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I mean, to me it feels like he's self-aware. I'm struggling with figuring out like how self-aware he is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like 90% of the movie is self-aware, and then there's like 10% peeking through that's not quite there. But I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say.
And that could be partially because it took so long to make this.
That it evolved over time.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing things very differently on the end of Fatal Future's production than we were at the beginning, and like that was only a gap of like 10 months.
Yeah, that's true. I can't imagine how much a project has to evolve if you're like in the process of making it for 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. And it's, you know what? It's better than Boyhood. So there you go. So yeah, I guess, Sean, like, talking about it, does that change your, like, what's your final like prognosis of this film? Like, just be as raw about it as you want. How do you feel about this movie?
I wish that I had watched it with people.
Okay.
Like, I wish that I had gotten to watch it with like you and Casey, because I think that this is the kind of thing that if you're sitting there with somebody else and you can both laugh at it and enjoy it, then it's going to work better for you. You're going to maybe look a little bit less at the seams. Whereas I was sitting alone in my apartment watching this thing at like 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And I was just like, okay, here's a note.
Right. I guess, yeah. And that's a lot like our movie.
Yeah.
It seems like anytime someone watches Fatal Future by themselves, I hate to keep bringing up Fatal Future, but
I would be fucking miserable if I watched Fatal Future alone.
But there is like I felt a spiritual connection to this film.
Yeah.
Thanks to making Fatal Future and The Head to a degree. And Brian just said in the chat, it's definitely a watch party movie. Yeah, I have my own category of movies that I refer to often, and they are party movies. And a party movie is a movie that probably doesn't work too well on its, like, just when you're by yourself, like poor Sean was. But it's a movie that when you have more people, seemingly like the more people that are there, the better it gets. In our case, we've had a lot of reviews that are very negative from people who did not watch the movie under the right circumstances, who fucking hated it. But then it showed, I guess, 3 years in a row now. No, 2 years in a row. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's 3.
Yeah, 3 years. Okay. All right, 2018, 2019, 2020. I can do math. But it's shown 3 times at Dragon Con in Atlanta. I guess on the internet this year. But anyway, and that's like a shitload of people watching it. And those people enjoyed it much more than the people who watched it by themselves. And I feel like that's totally how the Exigency needs to be seen. And there's nothing wrong with that, I should point out.
No,
there's
not at all.
Absolutely nothing wrong with a movie being a party movie. It does not make it a bad movie. It just makes it a certain type of movie. And the beauty of cinema, and this is something I try to get through as part of my channel all the time, is that every movie should be taken for what it is. And if a movie presents itself as something that is a great time with friends, then you shouldn't be saying, well, this movie's no fun when I'm by myself, so it's a bad movie. It's more that it's just a party movie.
Yeah, I would never want to watch Cats alone.
I love watching Cats alone.
I'll bet you do, Michael. One of the best theater experiences that I've had in like the last 3 years was seeing the absolute garbage fire Matthew McConaughey movie Serenity. And I saw it in a theater with like 3 complete strangers. There were only 4 of us in the theater to see the movie. And like, it was transcendent getting to see it with those people, because we all like met each other in the middle of this thing. And we had this shared experience. And I mean, like, this like goes down the entire scale of film. Like, everything from like seeing big Marvel movies and Star Wars movies on opening night and like having everybody applaud every 15 minutes, down to seeing something really awful and goofy with 5 human beings. Like, I am firmly of the belief that cinema is a collective experience, and movies are better when we watch them together. And I think that this movie, like, it was just, it was a So yeah, like this is 100%, I think, a movie that I would have probably enjoyed a lot more if I had watched it with people, because I like it a lot more sitting here and talking about it with you than I did when I was watching it.
Okay. I'm glad I could move the scale a little bit for you, just by bringing you here to my cramped office. So yeah, I think one more, it's not even a con, but one thing that is a little frustrating with this movie is that it is, when you actually like say the plot out loud, not a whole lot happens in this film. It is, for the most part, just set up for whatever the story is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's completely devoid of an ending.
And I feel like with all the passion that Cody put into this, there's no way that there's not a ton that we have yet to see. I feel like this is all leading. I think that kind of comes into like my issues with the kind of generic alien world and stuff like that, where there's something here that if I see the entire production as a whole, the whole trilogy, then I will have much more appreciation for this film. My only concern is what gets left out when you make it a better quality production, because I know that on his making of tab on the website, he mentions that he's working with more people this time for the sequel. And my concern is a good, healthy chunk of the enjoyment factor is the kind of janky animation.
Yeah, it sort of runs the risk of becoming the gap between a Birdemic and a Birdemic 2.
Yeah. And actually, that's actually a good point I didn't even think about, is that what about if he goes too far into the self-awareness? Because this one feels just the right amount of self-aware. Like, I felt like, it didn't feel like he was trying to do what we did as far as making it impossible, like totally blurring the line.
Yeah.
But it definitely is just enough self-aware where it doesn't get too meta. And I am hopeful that he just sticks with whatever script he had before and just goes the more or less the exact same route, but with more people helping him get shit done.
Yeah.
Because I am fine with it, like the sequel looking the same as this.
I would be disappointed if it didn't.
Yeah, and hey, Cody, I'm gonna be real with you right now. This is not me at my best moment. If you need any additional voice acting in the next installment, like I know you got a pretty high standard you got going on.
Yeah, man.
But like, I can definitely do a lot of things with my voice. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm just saying that I really respect your work, and if you wanted to give me an audition for anything, I know you're in the middle of production, but I just really I'd really like a job for free. I would do it for free. I say a job, a gig, donation. Just oh man, the Exigency trilogy that's calling to me, man. I can feel it. You want me to be a teapot? I can be a teapot. You want me to be a velociraptor? I can be a velociraptor. You want me to be Abraham Lincoln?
Be a velociraptor. It's solid.
Anyway, I'm very excited for the sequel. I'm legitimately cannot wait. Like, I am pumped. I don't know when it's going to come out. I'm assuming that he has no idea at the moment, but I am pumped for that potential. I'm horrified at the possibility that it could go off the rails, but it could also go off the rails in the other direction. It could do what I kind of hoped this movie would do and get super complicated.
Yeah.
While also maintaining everything else that's great about it. Because that's the only thing, is I really wish the plot had been like overly convoluted. I would have enjoyed that so much. Just like a lot. Oh, Cody just said totally come aboard. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yes.
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 My pit stains. Yeah.
Cody, does that go for both of us? I can do a lot of voice work for Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and I can. We've only experimented with the testing on audio today, but I can do this one real well.
Oh my god. I don't know how those levels sounded, but that's okay.
Oh, they were awful, Michael.
Oh yeah, you're hitting the red, something fierce. I think no matter what, and I know this conversation has been like all over the place. Again, there's not much to go into on the plot. We could probably talk more about how awesome Timmy is. Timmy's great.
All day.
Timmy all day. I love Timmy so much.
Didn't even mention the fact that he wears a shirt that just says the word pimp on it for the entire movie.
Yeah. Which, you know what? Timmy's a pimp. So I gotta say that's truth in advertising with Timmy. I like Dietrich quite a bit, even though I can't keep seeing to say his name.
He doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but he is fun.
Yeah, like I was a little worried when I first saw him because he has that very generic villain scar.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like between the voice actor and just the way he's so straight. There's nothing parody about this character. No. He is just straight up, just I am a villain, and that's what he is. Period. And I really enjoyed that. I like that I like when movies don't try to add humor to every little aspect of something. It drives me Marvel does this a lot, where they'll like add humor in places just because I guess they think a joke needs to be there. Which, you know, this is a movie that did need some humor in some places, I guess, but certain characters just shouldn't have humor attached to them. They should be just total seriousness, because then it creates a good contrast with the humor around them. So Dietrich is great in that way. And then on the opposite side of that, the king, Sargon, is so good.
Good Lord.
He's such a like hedonistic little
just
shit.
The first time he gets on his little mobility scooter for no reason at all. He just like, he's walking around and doing everything he's just, and then he has to cross a large room. And I don't know if that was a conscious choice because you just didn't want to animate him walking that long or what, but
oh my god. Let's see, we only briefly mentioned Mickey Rourke in Sin City looking dude, who is the mentor character who dies peacefully in his sleep, which I feel like there has to be a lot more concerning him in the sequels. I would assume. Otherwise, he's very pointless.
I love that it's treated as a bummer that he died peacefully in his sleep at old age.
He could have died a warrior. He could have been somebody, but he died peacefully asleep, like a total pansy, not tearing out the throat and gizzard of an enemy combatant. There's other Bumbo is a weird character who's just very awkward in every scene he's in. He's a very minor character, but Bumbo, I remember just being very like, who the fuck is this guy? Cool, yeah, I need more of this guy. I need more Bumbo in my life.
Was he like the advisor?
I think he was an advisor. I honestly don't know what his role was. I just know he was there as part of the king's general shit. And I can't say enough good things about that action sequence at the end.
Yeah.
With the giant monster. It's wild. There's like a body horror aspect to it. There's a ton of flying car chases going all over this world. Some of it looks great. Some of it looks awful, but it all works. And that's the important thing. And it all feels dynamic and wild. And goddamn, my greatest regret is that I did not find time to watch the movie a second time for this podcast, so I could like nail down all the little details that make it work so well. But I think at the end of the day, it's a pretty simple film with a pretty simple gag is a strong word, but like I'm gonna say it, a simple gag behind it. The gag being, this looks like garbage, but everything else is done really well. And I think, you know what? There it is. This is a film that looks like absolute shit, but everything, the composition, the jokes, the action, the music, all of it's great. It just happens to have been done in poser by one guy with maybe like a handful of pre-rendered assets, but more or less just one guy doing this thing. And goddamn, that's just the American. That's the American
goddamn,
dream.
that counts for something because that is hard.
Yeah,
like that is the thing that I keep coming to with this is like, you know, because we have experience in making film at this level, and it's hard.
And he did one step further. Like, I mean, we just had to point a camera at a thing, hope it was kind of partially in focus sometimes.
Yeah.
He like this is going in and making everything. Like we just like, oh, this place looks really good for the movie. Let's shoot here.
Yeah, we can sneak around here for 15 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. And here he is just by hand everything. And that is shocking to me. Like I'm in the middle of trying to figure out how to make a film basically by myself because I can't trust enough people to form a crew right now. And doing it live action, which is easier really if you're not doing an action film or something big.
Yeah.
You know, it's technically easier because you don't have to physically make everything. You can just point the camera, make sure it looks good lighting wise, and then make sure the acting's okay. But like that's extremely challenging to do in live action. To do it in animation, I feel like a broken record, but I am just amazed. Will this be for everyone? No. I think if you saw that trailer and you think, not sure about this one, guys, watch it with someone you know who enjoys camp or enjoys quote unquote bad movies. We hate using that term bad movies here, but that's how people relate.
Yeah.
You really should watch it with somebody. I think for some people it'll work by yourself, but I think just in case you should definitely watch it with somebody. I watched it with my wife. We had a great time. Obviously Sean had a less good of a time doing it by himself. But as you can see from just us like talking about it, Sean has already said that it's working a lot better for him. Yeah. So Cody, keep doing what you do. It's truly Cody did the last bit of chat. Love it. You guys are hired. I don't know how facetious he's being. I hope not at all, because man, I am willing to lend my pipes in a heartbeat. Because
same here.
I would love to be part of this film history.
You did a hell of a job, Cody.
Say it again.
You did a hell of a job, Cody.
Yeah. So anyway, you can follow Sean on Instagram at keyboard_brawl. Is that right?
Yep, that's also what I am on Twitter, which, you know, God knows why you would want to be on Twitter, but if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's where you can find me.
I ask the same question of myself all the time. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at MichaelKeene. You can find me on the Instagrams at MBKeene, on Facebook at whatever it's all in the links are in the description. Follow me on Letterboxd. That's somehow the least toxic place I go to and utilize, sadly, because it's also a pretty toxic environment. And of course, join the Patreon if you feel like giving money to my weird Keene cults. We have a lot of fun on the Discord. We're going to be starting all kinds of weird bullshit this week with Cast. And you can help support me in my next ridiculous, bullshit idea, like when I yesterday watched every Police Academy movie in a row for fucking 11 hours.
Jesus, Michael.
It was not a good time, Sean.
Michael, why do you hate yourself?
Why do I hate myself?
Why do you hate yourself?
I don't know. I am an idiot, but people support me being an idiot, including my great patrons you'll see in the credits in just a second. So please, guys, go, most importantly, go support Cody. Watch his movie on Amazon Prime. They do not pay a lot out. I know that for a fact. They do not give a lot of money to people, but right now it's where you can find it. Watch his movie on Amazon Prime. Leave a review. I'm actually about to do that right now. As soon as we're done with this, leave a review on IMDb. Leave a comment on this video. That'd be cool. Leave a comments on his trailer on his YouTube page. I'll link that in the description. Just support indie filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers who spend over a decade making films by themselves, because that is still just blowing my fucking mind, and I don't understand it. He's like Buddha. So check his stuff out. And buy it when it's on physical media, theoretically in October. And of course, until next, Sean, do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
All right, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, please, for the love of all that's good in this world, go watch a movie.